Welcome to Stories with Gaming, where drama meets gameplay. From outrageous family secrets to quiet revenge, toxic friendships to moments of redemption, we cover it all, straight from Reddit's wildest threads. While the story unfolds, you'll see gameplay in the background, sometimes intense, sometimes chill, but always a perfect match for the chaos or calm of each tale. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for your daily update. I always knew Isabel would leave us someday. But not like this. Not in silence. She was always reaching for more, even before she knew what more meant. The kind of child who arranged dandelions in patterns, who cried when we threw away wrapping paper because it had stories in it, and who believed, truly believed, that she was meant to live in castles. We didn't have castles. We had a one-story ranch in a neighborhood where the fences leaned like tired old men and the mailboxes rusted before you finished paying them off. But to her, our home was a stage, a place for scenes, entrances, final acts. Every hallway became a runway. Every dinner was a banquet, even when it was boxed mac and cheese. She named her room the drawing room at 8 and insisted we knock before entering. Not because she was doing anything secret, she just wanted it to feel like a movie. She craved beauty in everything. Ordinary things felt wrong to her, even insulting. Marcus, my husband, always said, "Let her dream. The world will shrink her eventually." So we didn't shrink her. We built around her. We weren't rich, not by any stretch. I worked as an intake coordinator at a dental clinic, 10-hour shifts of scheduling root canals and calming down people in pain. Marcus was a senior maintenance tech for the county schools. His hands always smelled like old pipe water and hand sanitizer. We made enough to get by. Some months just barely. But we gave her what we could. Dance classes, books, a violin we bought secondhand from a woman in her 70s who cried when she handed it over. Isabel played it every night for 2 years. Then one day, she just stopped. "I need to find my new instrument," she said. Violin was for childhood. She was 12. She told us she wanted to get married in Italy the first time when she was in 8th grade. We were at the kitchen table, surrounded by unpaid bills and coupons. She was working on a collage for school and had pasted a photo of a Tuscan villa in the center. "This is it," she said, "where I'm going to marry someone kind. Someone with smiling eyes." I remember Marcus chuckling and kissing the top of her head. "I'll start saving now," he said, half joking. She took it seriously. "You don't have to, I will." And I believed her. Because Isabel wasn't like other kids. She followed through. She organized her childhood, color-coded her dreams. She had journals, Wedding Plans 1-0, Mood Boards and Magic, Florence 2027. After high school, she got a scholarship to UC Santa Barbara, moved out, grew into a woman who still craved beauty but now wore it like armor. Flowing dresses, structured blazers, heels with stories behind them. When she graduated, she landed a job in San Francisco at a boutique brand agency that catered to upscale lifestyle clients, skincare lines, eco-chic resorts, curated wellness brands. It was the kind of office that didn't just have exposed brick. It had heritage bricks imported from Brooklyn. She fit in, effortlessly. We were so proud. But pride has weight, and we were already carrying so much. I don't think Isabel ever asked what my job was really like. Or if Marcus's back still ached from crawling under boilers that hadn't been updated since Reagan. I don't think she ever noticed that we stopped eating out, that we quietly canceled cable, that we started driving more slowly to stretch out the gas tank. By then, we were caring for my mother and Marcus's father. Both of them had once been cold and exacting, mine a silent wall, his a cruel whisper. But now, they were frail and needy and everywhere. Medicare barely covered anything meaningful. The prescriptions, the at-home care, the brief hospitalizations followed by rehab bills no one could explain. It all piled up like sand. Each month, we hemorrhaged money. Quietly, dutifully, and then we started bleeding in a different way. We didn't tell Isabel this. How could we? But for over a year, Marcus and I sold plasma every other week. $85 a session. Not much, but it paid for prescriptions when Medicare didn't. For ointments, for adult diapers, for the taxi when the Lyft voucher failed and his father needed dialysis. Marcus got lightheaded after the second donation. By the 5th, he started bruising easily. I tried to talk him into stopping, but he wouldn't. "I'm not letting our daughter go without just so your mother can forget what day it is." I laughed. Bitterly. What about you? You're forgetting to eat. He smiled like it didn't matter. She's getting married in Italy. At night, I started waking up soaked in sweat, dizzy, numb fingertips. The technician told me to stop donating, that my iron levels were too low, but we needed the money, so I drank spinach smoothies and lied. By the time Isabel came home for a short visit last fall, a pit stop before a friend's wedding in Napa, we were both 20 pounds lighter and running on fumes. She didn't notice. There was one moment, one thing I thought might break through. Our cat, Clementine. We'd had her since Isabel was in high school. Clementine was fiercely loyal. She used to curl up on Isabel's chest when she cried about boys, finals, failed auditions. After Isabel moved away, Clementine would sit at the front door every Sunday at noon, the time Isabel used to come home from college visits. She waited. For years. In early February, Clementine got sick. Fast. The vet said she had a tumor, that she didn't have much time. Isabel said she was slammed at work, that the campaign launch was full throttle, that she couldn't make it down until the following weekend. Clementine didn't make it to Thursday. She died on my chest while I whispered, "She waited for you, baby." She waited. Isabel sent flowers, hydrangeas. She loved hydrangeas as a child. I didn't know what to do with them. Marcus has always been a fixer. Pipes, door hinges, car parts, broken silence. If there's a way to patch something together with duct tape and stubborn hope, he'll find it. When I met him, he had holes in his sneakers but remembered to open my door before climbing in. He didn't talk much about love, but he showed it. He once walked 3 miles in the rain to return a library book I'd accidentally kept past due. That's the kind of man he's always been. Not flashy, but faithful. Steady. Which is why watching him fall apart in slow motion nearly killed me. For 26 years, Marcus has been maintaining public school buildings that no one wants to budget for. That means rusty boilers, asbestos tape, broken HVACs, and ceiling tiles stained with mystery leaks. In the summer, the job is brutal. In the winter, it's worse. Kids don't see him. Neither do teachers. He moves through the buildings like a ghost with tools, keeps them functional. Barely. Last year, he came home limping, said he slipped while lifting an old water heater. There was a deep purple bruise spreading from his hip to the side of his thigh. I told him to file for workman's comp. He didn't. Said, "We can't afford attention right now." Because attention meant time off, paperwork, maybe even termination. And we still needed every hour of that paycheck. My job's no easier. The dental clinic where I work went through a round of layoffs 2 years ago. I've been covering the front desk, phones, appointment scheduling, and insurance verification. Sometimes I assist the hygienist when the schedule overflows. It's nonstop. But it's a job, one of the few in town that still comes with benefits. Still, it doesn't cover what our parents need. So on weekends, we tried other things. Marcus started fixing neighbors' fences. Quietly. Cash only. I began doing overnight transcription for a medical provider who paid pennies per word. Then, when that wasn't enough, I signed up for grocery delivery at 4 a.m. on Saturdays. I told Isabel I liked getting early walks in. She believed me. The truth, I was limping by noon. We kept spreadsheets. They became our bedtime reading. Columns for what we owed, what we made, what we could delay. Rent from the tenants in our converted garage helped. Barely. We went without vacations, without repairs, we put off dental cleanings, we stretched every resource until it snapped. Then came the new medication for Marcus's father. Not covered. $463 every month. Then came the full-time caregiver for my mother after she slipped in the shower and cracked her hip. Then came February, when Clementine, our cat, Isabel's first real anchor, stopped eating. And somewhere in the middle of all that, Isabel sent us a wedding planner's brochure. She'd attached a PDF, 18 pages, digital renderings of the ceremony, color palettes, guest counts, preferred photographers, a flowchart of events that included a lavender-themed cocktail hour, a string quartet flown in from Berlin, and a morning-after espresso bar with hand-calligraphed to-go cups. I stared at it for a full minute before I cried. Marcus just read in silence, got up, poured himself a glass of water he didn't drink. "She really believes this is reasonable," I said. He nodded. "She's not doing it to hurt us." "I know, but she's still asking us to bleed for her dream." We didn't have the heart to say no yet. We also didn't have the spine to say yes. So we stalled. And then something inside both of us snapped. I told Marcus I was going to start donating plasma again. He argued. He said I was still lightheaded from last time. I said, then I'll sit down while I do it. He started driving Uber after work, nights only. Told me he liked the quiet. I could smell exhaustion on his clothes. We were burning the last of ourselves, the literal physical essence of who we were, so we could maybe, just maybe, say yes to Isabel. But deep down, even then, we knew we wouldn't. And then Clementine died. That was the moment something shifted in me. We told Isabel, gently. Texted first, then called. She didn't answer. We waited. She texted 2 days later. I'm so sorry. I'm slammed. I'll call soon. She didn't. She posted photos that weekend, clinking glasses at a rooftop bar, a pastel skirt, laughter in the caption. Soft launch season, I closed my phone. Marcus didn't say anything, but the silence between us changed color. When she finally called us, a week later, she was radiant, bursting. I have a plan, she said. It's bold, but I know it'll work. We just need a bridge. I could hear James in the background, laughing, talking to someone else, maybe a friend or her coworker. She kept going. We're short by about $26,000, but if you could cover that, we'd pay you back over time. You just need to take out the loan. I've already found a lender who could do it quickly. No hassle. It wouldn't hit your credit that hard. There was a silence so long I could hear Marcus's breath change. And I said it. No. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just said no. Isabel didn't respond right away. She blinked. I imagined her blinking. I imagined her whole body stiffening, then folding in half like a paper crane. But I thought, you said you were saving something for me. We did, I said. $7,500. That plus the $20,000 you already saved? That's a wedding. No, it's not. Not my wedding. She wasn't wrong. But she wasn't right either. It's what we can give, I said. You don't believe in me, she whispered. I've believed in you every moment of your life. But belief isn't alone, and love isn't measured in imported stoneware. She hung up. They say silence is neutral, but that's a lie. Some silences scream. After I told Isabel we couldn't take out the loan, the line went dead. No questions, no argument, just a single clipped okay, and then nothing. It was the kind of okay that closes a door you didn't realize was still open. It's been 11 days. Not a call, not a text, not even a passive post meant for us to see. And yet I still check. I still open my phone like a reflex. I scan her social media even when I tell myself not to. I count the stories. I memorize the captions. She's still smiling, still planning. She hasn't told anyone what happened, not directly, but I can see the coded phrasing, rebuilding with intention. Sometimes you have to shift the story. Tiny pivots still carry magic. I want to scream. It didn't have to be a pivot. You still have a wedding fund. You still have love. But I don't say it, because she isn't listening. Not yet. 3 days after that call, James reached out. He texted Marcus first, a short message. Hey, just wanted to say I get it. No hard feelings. We really do want to make it work on our own. Thanks for hearing us out. Then, about an hour later, he called me. Hi, he said quietly. Hi. I know Isabel's upset. I just wanted to check in. Upset is okay, I said. She's allowed to feel disappointed. She doesn't feel disappointed, he said, almost embarrassed. She feels betrayed. The words stung. James was the one I thought would stay level. He'd grown up in a working-class family in Iowa. No frills, no pretense. When we first met him, he helped us clear our dishes without being asked and called me ma'am unironically. He'd seemed like someone who'd never forget what things cost. But slowly, especially since their engagement, that shifted. He started using phrases that weren't his. Isabel's phrases. His casual flannels turned into fitted button-downs. His humble thrift store apartment was replaced with a corner loft that cost more than our mortgage and smelled like bergamot. I don't think he did it to impress us. I think he did it to keep up, to meet her in the world she had built. Do you want me to be honest with you, James? I asked. Yes? You've both lost the plot. I expected him to defend her, but instead he just sighed. I think you're right, he said. That night, I got a call from my mother's caregiver, Linda. Your mom's bridge broke during lunch, she said. She spit it out and tried to flush it down the toilet. Did she hurt herself? No, but we'll need to get her to a dentist. Her gum's already swelling. I closed my eyes. I'll call her old provider. Just so you know, Linda added gently, Medicare doesn't cover dental. I know. What I didn't tell her was that I just maxed out our HSA to pay for Marcus's father's emergency inhaler refill. We had $82 in our joint account and $35 in the food envelope. I opened my laptop and started searching for emergency dental grants, wrote 4 emails begging for sliding scale treatment, scheduled a plasma appointment for Thursday, and then I opened Isabel's wedding planner PDF. Still there. Unopened. Page 11, luxury smile bar, customize your teeth whitening kits as favors. I laughed until I cried. When Marcus got home, he didn't ask about the dentist. He just kissed my forehead and handed me a small bag. Panera? I asked, startled. He shrugged. Used points. Figured we could eat soup without guilt tonight. I looked at the bread roll and suddenly felt like I hadn't eaten in years. We sat on the floor and watched reruns of Frasier. He always said that show calmed him. Smart people making fools of themselves, he'd say. Reminds me nobody has it all figured out. During the commercial, I said, "Do you think she'll come back?" Marcus didn't look away from the screen. "I think she'll come back when she needs something," he said. "And if she doesn't?" He paused. "Then we'll love her from far away." The next morning, I texted Isabel. "We know you're hurt. That matters to us. We're not turning our backs. We just can't give what we don't have. But we want to help, truly. You've saved nearly 20 calories. We've added $7,500. That's $2,7,500. Enough for something intimate, beautiful, and still yours. We'll help you plan if you want. We'll be there. We'll veil. We'll then fix your veil. But we can't do it with a loan." No reply. I watched the text turn from delivered to read. Then nothing. I checked again. Still nothing. Marcus didn't ask what I'd written. He just pulled me into a hug while I stood at the sink. Later that week, we scattered Clementine's ashes in the garden. She used to nap in the sun-drenched corner near the fence. I buried her favorite toy mouse there, the one Isabel had bought with her first job money when she worked at the bookstore. I whispered goodbye. Then I whispered, "She waited for you." And I hoped, maybe, Isabel felt that, wherever she was. It's strange, the ways we contort ourselves for love, the knots we twist into, emotionally, physically, financially, all because we think if we just give a little more, show up a little harder, carry just one more thing, maybe that will finally be enough. That's what the last 3 months have felt like, a long, aching stretch of trying to be enough. Enough for our daughter, enough for our parents, enough for a world that keeps asking without ever giving anything back. When people talk about aging parents, they talk about visits, Sunday dinners, wheelchair ramps. They don't talk about the paperwork. They don't tell you that you'll spend 4 hours on the phone disputing a charge for a walker that was never delivered, or that you'll need to keep a spreadsheet for 6 different medications, 2 of which changed names after going generic. They don't tell you about the adult diapers, the cracked skin from forgetting to drink water, or the smell of confusion that clings to their clothes like an old perfume. They especially don't talk about how Medicare will fail you. When my mother needed home care after her hip injury, we thought we were covered. But Medicare only covers part-time help. If your parent needs assistance bathing, dressing, or even just walking to the bathroom more than a few hours per week, that's on you. And so we pay. We pay with money we don't have. With time we can't afford. With bodies that are breaking. Marcus now wakes up with a limp. It takes him 3 full minutes to roll out of bed and plant his feet. I catch him doing stretches before he gets in the car. Sometimes he pretends he's not in pain, but I know the difference between a sigh and a wince. As for me, I've stopped pretending. My knees click when I walk. My back aches if I stand too long. I can't remember the last time I slept through the night without waking in a cold sweat, thinking I've forgotten something. And all of this, all of it, happens quietly, in the background, behind the scenes of Isabel's storybook life. A few weeks ago, I picked up another gig, data entry for a survey research firm. It paid $15 an hour if I hit certain quotas. I'd do it after my clinic shift, usually from 8 p.m. until 1 a.m., sometimes later. It didn't take long before the fatigue turned into something more dangerous. I started mixing up numbers. I sent a dental insurance form to the wrong patient. My manager gave me a warning. That night, I nodded off while boiling pasta and scorched the bottom of the pot. Marcus found me crying in the kitchen, my hands smelling like burned flour and regret. He didn't say a word, just held me. That's what love looks like after 30 years. Not fireworks, not flowers, just arms. Holding you when you start to fall apart in silence. 2 Saturdays ago, Isabel posted a video montage on Instagram, Golden, by Harry Styles, playing over sun-soaked scenes of wine tastings, boutique fittings, and terrace brunches. The caption read, "Still cooking something special, even if the recipe's been revised, Tuscan pivot tacked still magic." There was no mention of us, no acknowledgement of what was offered, just curated detachment. Marcus saw it too. He didn't say anything at first, but later, over dinner, he murmured, "She makes it look like nothing happened. She's not ready to talk about what did." "But we are," I nodded. "And maybe one day she will be too." I've started writing letters to Isabel in my journal, not because I expect to send them, but because I need to remember how to say the truth with love. Here's part of one. You think we don't believe in you, but we do. We always have. We believed in you when you said you wanted to write a novel at 10, when you painted your walls lavender and said it was for dream breathing. We believed in you when you left for college, when you were scared but walked away anyway. We don't want to deny you beauty, but we want you to learn the kind that lasts, the kind that doesn't require debt or applause, the kind that grows quietly, like kindness or strength. One day, I hope you see the difference. Sometimes, I wonder if she'd even recognize my handwriting anymore. James texted Marcus yesterday. "Hey, just wanted to check in. Don't worry, not about the wedding. Just wanted to say I appreciate everything. You were right about a lot of things." Marcus showed it to me and smiled. "He's trying." "He always was," I said. "I think she just swept him up." What happens when she stops sweeping? I guess we find out if he's still standing. This morning, I sent Isabel a single photo, Clementine's spot in the garden where the violets are blooming again. I didn't add a message, just the image. She didn't reply, but she viewed it. And maybe for now, that's enough. Time doesn't stop when you're grieving. Not when you're grieving a cat, or a daughter who won't speak to you, or the life you thought you'd be living by your 50s. Time keeps going. Sometimes slowly, like syrup. Sometimes fast, like blood down a drain. 3 weeks have passed since we last heard from Isabel. She didn't reply to the photo of Clementine's violets. She hasn't commented on Marcus's birthday message. She hasn't acknowledged our offer, not even to decline it. And yet we keep checking. Like fools. Like parents. I took a freelance bookkeeping job from a woman named Clarice. She runs a catering business out of her garage. She pays me $200 a week to update her QuickBooks and send polite reminder emails to her clients. It's not much, but I accepted without hesitation. We need every penny. Last week, Marcus finally went to the doctor after months of pretending he was just sore. The x-ray showed minor degenerative disc disease. The doctor prescribed physical therapy. Insurance approved 4 sessions. He needs 12. So we're paying for the rest. Marcus didn't even flinch. "Better this than surgery," he said. "I've got too many things to fix before someone puts me under." He still works 5 days a week, still does side jobs when he can. But now, when he comes home, he collapses into the couch like the cushions are holding him together. We've stopped talking about retirement. That dream has grown so distant it's become impolite to name. Marcus's father has started calling me Marilyn. That was his wife's name. She died 12 years ago. And he still talks to her every night. Not metaphorically. Literally. Out loud. Sometimes I listen from the kitchen while he mutters to the ceiling fan about how those kids still don't know how to handle a bank account. He doesn't remember that I manage his bills, that I call the pharmacy when they forget his heart meds, that I helped him apply for the subsidy that knocked $40 off his electricity bill. My mother, meanwhile, has become obsessed with the mail. She checks the box every hour. If it's empty, she panics. "Someone's stealing our pension," she says. We remind her we've gone paperless. She forgets 10 minutes later. Last week, she asked why I didn't invite Isabel to Sunday lunch. "She's busy," I said. "She's always busy," she snapped. And then softer, "She never visits anymore." I wanted to say, well, neither did you, but I didn't. Because some ghosts are still alive, and some stories aren't worth repeating. I was dusting Isabel's old room when I found it. A photo of her, Marcus, and me, taken the summer before she left for college. She's in a white eyelet dress, barefoot in the grass. Marcus has his arm slung around her shoulders. I'm laughing at something out of frame. It was a good day. One of the last easy ones. The frame had cracked, probably during one of the many furniture shuffles when we converted the room into storage. I sat down on the bed, the one that used to smell like vanilla and shampoo, and traced the crack with my thumb. The line ran across Marcus's cheek, right through my smile, and stopped just shy of Isabel's heart. I didn't realize I was crying until the drops hit the photo. That night, around 1:12 a.m., Isabel texted. Just one line. Thinking of Clem today. I hope the violets are still blooming. No emojis, no pleasantries. But it was her. I stared at the message for a long time before replying. They're beautiful. She would have loved them. No reply, but she saw it. I watched the red receipt change from delivered to rid, like it meant something holy. I didn't wake Marcus. He needed the sleep. But I told Clementine's grave the next morning, whispered it into the violets like a prayer. The original wedding date is now 6 weeks away. We haven't received an invitation. Neither have her cousins, or her godmother, or her childhood best friend, whom I ran into at Trader Joe's. She said they might do something small. Well, the girl said, didn't really explain. I nodded, smiled, pretended to know what that meant. Later that night, I found Marcus at his workbench in the garage, sanding an old jewelry box he'd started refurbishing before Isabel's graduation. He looked up, covered in dust, and said, "Should I even bother finishing this?" "Yes," I said. "Finish it." "For what?" "For yourself." He didn't argue, just turned back to the sanding block and kept moving. The first time Isabel said Tuscany, she was 12. She'd found a photo in a travel magazine at the dentist's office and tore it out when no one was looking. She brought it home, flattened it under a book, and taped it to her closet door. "One day," she whispered, "one day, I'll get married here." I believed her, because she believed herself. And even now, even after everything, I admire that. But I also know this. Tuscany isn't magic. It's just a place. What she wants isn't Italian sunlight. It's safety, attention, proof that she matters. And that's something I've been giving her since the day she was born. Last weekend, I wrote her again. Not with guilt, not with a plea, just with truth. We're still here. If you change your mind, if you want help planning something beautiful, near or far, we'll help with every detail we can. We can't offer a villa, but we can offer a ceremony in the park where you used to collect feathers, or the vineyard an hour away, or the church your godmother still sings in on Sundays. We'll fold napkins and string lights and bake lemon bars. It won't be cinematic, but it will be love. Always, Mom. She hasn't replied. But the message is there, waiting, and maybe, just maybe, one day, she will be too. There's something peculiar about parenting a child who no longer needs you. Not practically, not emotionally, not daily. It feels a bit like watering a plant that's been moved to another room. You still measure the water, you still check the soil, but deep down, you know the roots are elsewhere now. Isabel hasn't replied to my last message. Not a word. It's been 19 days. Easter came and went. Normally, I would have brought out the green porcelain plates, the ones Isabel insisted were sophisticated enough for brunch, but not so formal that they scare the eggs. She loved those plates. Bought them from an estate sale in high school and carried them around like fragile proof she was already destined for more. This year, I didn't even open the cabinet. It was just Marcus and me. My mother forgot what day it was. Marcus's father asked if we were dressing up for the show, which we later figured out meant church. We helped him pick out a sweater anyway. Let him keep the illusion. I baked a lemon cake, the same kind Isabel used to request for spring birthdays. I stared at the empty third plate, noticed the frosting beginning to crack as it cooled. Marcus cut us slices and asked, "Do you think she made one too?" "Probably," I said. "Or something with elderflower. That seems to be her thing now." He laughed, not happily. "You think she'll get tired of chasing trends?" I paused. "Only if one of them finally catches her." I've started working Sunday mornings at the church thrift store. It's mostly lonely women and worn-out grandmothers who come in. They browse slowly, linger at the sweater bins, smell candles that have already lost their scent. I restock, clean, log donations. I find peace in the order of it. Last week, a woman donated a wedding dress. Nothing fancy. Lace, tea-length, a little yellowed from years of storage. I unzipped the garment bag, expecting to feel nothing, but the smell hit me. Vanilla and cedar and hope. I had to step outside. It wasn't her dress, but it might have been, in another version of this life, the one where she invited us to fittings and laughed at my nervous hands pinning the hem. I left the dress on the mannequin. I didn't price it. Some things shouldn't be for sale. I found Marcus asleep in the garage last week. He was on the floor, his legs stretched out under the workbench, a half-finished jewelry box cradled in his lap like a child. I shook him gently. "Hey." He blinked up at me, confused. "Did I fall asleep?" "Yeah. I was sanding. You were dreaming." He didn't respond. Later, over dinner, he admitted he'd skipped lunch. Hadn't slept more than 4 hours the night before. He'd been driving for Uber until midnight, then got up at 5 a.m. to finish a sink installation for our neighbor, who couldn't afford a plumber. "I'm trying to make up for what we couldn't give her," he said softly. I took his hand. "You already did." "No," he said. "She asked for more." And I said yes in my heart. Even if we couldn't afford it, I wanted to give it. Doesn't that count for something? "It counts," I said. "It counts more than she knows." On Wednesday, we got a letter. Just a plain white envelope, no stamp, no return address. Inside, a photo of Isabel. She's standing on a small pier in what looks like Sausalito, holding James's hand, wearing a short white dress. Simple, elegant, slightly windswept. A sticky note is attached. "Got married last week. Just us." Small, quiet. It was good. Don't be mad. Just needed it to be mine. That was it. No signature, no call, no explanation. I showed it to Marcus. He sat with it for almost 20 minutes, staring at her smile. "She looks happy," he said. "She does." Why do I feel like I've been hit in the chest? Because you were. She didn't tell us where, or when, or who took the photo. She didn't tell us what music played, what vows were spoken, what flowers she chose. She didn't ask if we wanted to keep the date, or what we wanted to give her. She didn't tell us what happened to the $20,000 she saved, or the $7,500 we gave. And that's okay. It is. Or it has to be. Because love is not a transaction, and grief, I'm learning, isn't always about death. Sometimes it's about absence, the kind that doesn't slam the door. It just closes it slowly until the air changes and the sound disappears. I wrote her one last message. "You looked beautiful. Truly. We're glad it was good. If you ever want to sit and tell us about it, the dress, the music, the vows, we're here. We'll always be here. I don't expect a reply." But that's not the point. The violets are blooming again. Bright, defiant. They grow beside Clementine's grave, untouched by frost or time. Every morning I say hello to her. And sometimes when the wind moves just right, I imagine Isabel standing there too, hands in her pockets, remembering the cat who waited at the door. Maybe one day she'll return, not to be rescued, not to ask, but to tell us the story of her wedding, of herself, of who she became when the storybook turned back into real life. You don't realize how much life clings to things until you're surrounded by the things and the people are gone. Isabel didn't just leave us out of her wedding. She left us with the remains of her childhood. There's a drawer in our house we haven't opened in years. Her memory drawer, as we used to call it. It started with ballet recital programs and friendship bracelets and grew into letters, ribbons, a dented junior prom crown, and birthday cards signed in glitter pen. I opened it last week. Not because I was feeling nostalgic, but because I was feeling tired. So tired I needed to see something that said, "We mattered to her once." The first thing I pulled out was a ticket stub from a museum in Florence, not the one from her college trip. This one was hand-cut, labeled in her cursive, "Future Honeymoon Research Trip, Spring 2028? She must have made it in high school. Below it, a dried sprig of lavender wrapped in thread, a black and white photo of Marcus and me on our wedding day, and a folded list titled, "If I ever get married, please remind me." It read, "Make time to dance with Dad. Don't stress about the seating chart. Hug Mom before the ceremony, even if I'm already in my dress." I didn't cry. Not right away. I just held the paper and thought, she was always planning to love us. She didn't plan to leave us out. 3 days later, I opened the front door to find James standing there. Hair slightly messy, dressed in soft gray like he didn't want to be noticed. He was holding a small box. "Hi?" he said. Can I come in? Of course we let him in. Some part of us, maybe the best part, had never stopped waiting. He sat at the table like he'd done so many times before. Looked older. Not in years, but in posture. I'm not here to explain her, he said. She'll do that when she's ready. I nodded. But I wanted to say this. She loves you. Both of you. Deeply. Even if she's struggling to show it. Marcus leaned forward. We never asked her to prove it. I know, James said, but I think she feels like she failed. And instead of coming to you with that, she ran. She made it all about control. Ownership. Like if she couldn't have the wedding she imagined, at least she could own the silence. That sentence sat in the air for a while. James placed the box on the table. She wanted me to give you this. Inside was a photo album. Handmade. The first page, a photo from the wedding. The one we'd already seen. Only this one included James's parents, standing to the side, clapping. The next, the ceremony space, simple and sun-washed, with a small arch of flowers and a bench with 2 glasses of wine. Each photo was labeled in her handwriting. There were no guests, just a friend officiating. No designer gown, no string quartet. On the last page, a note was tucked into the sleeve. I didn't want it to happen without you, but I didn't know how to fix the distance, so I tried to shrink the day, thinking that would hurt less. It didn't. I missed you the whole time. That's when I cried. For everything. For Clementine. For the father-daughter dance that didn't happen. For the lemon bars I never got to bake. For the dream that folded in on itself like a page torn too early. She regrets it, he said, watching me cry. I know, I whispered. She doesn't know how to come back. Marcus finally spoke. She doesn't have to know. She just has to knock. James gave a weak smile. Can I ask you something? Anything. Did you really have the money? Could you have helped more? Marcus looked at me. I looked at the floor. No, I said. Not without losing everything. James nodded. Thank you. I always wondered. Not because I thought you were lying. Just, I didn't know how much it was costing you. All of it, I said. It was costing us all of it. Before James left, he asked if he could see the garden. We walked past the old gate, past the bird feeders, to Clementine's resting spot. The violets had begun to wilt, late spring heat setting in, but they were still holding color. She loved this cat, he said softly. So did we. He crouched down and adjusted a stone that had shifted in the wind. It had Isabel's handwriting etched into it from years ago. The smallest lion with the biggest love. I think she's ready to talk, James said. Soon. Tell her we're ready too. That night, Marcus and I ate early. Soup and toast. We left the porch light on, even though no one was coming. It felt symbolic, or maybe just foolish. Still, I like to think she saw it. Somewhere, maybe in her apartment, maybe scrolling through her phone in bed. I like to think she knew. It started with a knock. Not the kind you anticipate, the kind you rehearse for. It was light, uncertain, the knock of someone who's unsure if they're welcome. I was in the kitchen making tea. Marcus was on the porch, tightening a hinge that hadn't squeaked in years. He stopped mid-turn. Our eyes met. We didn't speak. We didn't have to. We opened the door, and there she was. She was dressed simply. Jeans, white blouse, a cardigan she used to wear in college. Her hair was tied back. No makeup. Her eyes were glassy but dry. Hi, she said. Small. Soft. We moved aside to let her in like muscle memory. She stepped through the threshold like it might break her. We stood in the entryway for a moment, all 3 of us facing inward like magnets circling their poles. I'm sorry, she said. I didn't rush to hug her. I didn't need to, because she looked at me like she was 12 again, holding the violin she couldn't make sing, waiting for me to say, "It's okay, we'll try again tomorrow." And I did. "It's okay," I whispered. "We're here." She burst into tears. Not dainty sniffles, full-bodied sobs that racked her frame. Marcus stepped forward first, pulled her into his chest like he was rescuing her from a flood. We made tea. The same mismatched mugs she grew up with. She sat between us and held the mug with both hands like it anchored her. "I thought if I kept everything small, it wouldn't hurt as much," she said. But it still hurt. More, actually. Marcus nodded but didn't speak. His eyes were wet. "I was scared to see disappointment on your faces," she added, "so I chose distance." "You chose silence," I corrected. Gently. She nodded. "Yes, and I'm sorry." "I know," I said. "I think I've been trying to prove something for so long, I forgot what I was trying to prove." "To whom?" Marcus asked. She blinked. That I could make a beautiful life, that I could live better than everything. I reached across the table, took her hand. You don't have to live better. You just have to live honestly. We walked her to Clementine's spot. She knelt beside the violets and whispered something. I didn't ask what. When she stood, her eyes were brighter. She waited for you, you know, I said. I know, she whispered, and I made her wait too long. She turned to Marcus. Can I still have that dance? He smiled. Always. She didn't want a do-over wedding. No Tuscany. No linen suits. No drone shots. Instead, she asked if we'd help her plan a celebration. Not of the wedding, of us. She wanted to gather family in our backyard, tell the story, share the vows, serve lemon bars, and laugh about how things never go according to plan. She asked if Marcus would finish the jewelry box and present it that day. She asked if I'd read the letter I wrote her, the one she'd found in the photo album sleeve. I didn't ask how she found it. I just said yes. 6 weeks later. There were no chandeliers, no imported linens, no string quartet from Berlin. There was a canopy of lights strung from our maple tree to the back fence. There were paper flowers made by her godmother. There was laughter. Marcus gave his toast in a trembling voice, calling her his brightest chapter. I read my letter and cried anyway. Isabel wore a soft dress and no shoes. James looked like he belonged again. We all did. It happened in the twilight. No music. Just the hum of crickets and the flicker of fairy lights. She looked at Marcus and said, "Now?" He took her hand. They danced. Clumsy. Tender. Timeless. I stood at the edge of the yard and watched my daughter lean into her father's arms like she was safe for the first time in years. This morning, after the last dish was washed and the last cousin had hugged goodbye, Isabel stood in the doorway again. Same cardigan. Same eyes. "I'm staying in town a few extra days," she said. "I want to help clean up. I want to help be here." I nodded. We'd like that. Before she turned, she added, "Thank you for not giving me everything I wanted." "You're welcome," I said, "and thank you for coming back." We didn't pay for Tuscany. We didn't buy drone footage or couture gowns, but we gave her something better. We gave her the gift of truth, of boundaries held in love, of saying no when yes would have destroyed us. And in doing so, we gave her a path home. Because the cost of everything beautiful isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in forgiveness and faith. And coming back when the lights are still on. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed, please like, share, and subscribe for more content. If you want to share your stories, please comment below. Additionally, what is your opinion on the poster's decision?